Grab your coffee because this is absolutely mental. Jeremy Corbyn has just confirmed he's teaming up with ex-Labour MP Zarah Sultana to launch a brand new left-wing political party. And honestly, it's like watching your divorced parents announce they're starting a band together. The political establishment is having an absolute meltdown, and I am absolutely here for it. So yesterday evening, Zarah Sultana dropped what can only be described as a political bombshell, announcing she's leaving Labour and co-founding a new party with none other than Jeremy Corbyn himself. Now, initially, Corbyn went completely radio silent, which had everyone wondering if he bottled it or if he was just having a really long think in his allotment. But today, he's come out swinging with a statement that's basically a political declaration of war against Keir Starmer's Labour. Let me paint you the picture here. Sultana, who got her Labour whip suspended for having the audacity to vote against keeping 400,000 children in poverty, has basically said, "You know what? This is ridiculous," and walked out the door. And honestly, when you put like that, it sounds less like political rebellion and more like basic human decency. Corbyn's statement today was absolutely electric. He said, and I quote, "Real change is coming." 1 year on from the election, this Labour government has refused to deliver the change people expected and deserved. That's not just throwing shade. That's launching a full solar eclipse at Starmer's government. He's basically saying Labour has become everything they once claimed to oppose, which, let's be honest, is about as subtle as a brick through a window. But here's where it gets really interesting. Corbyn didn't just confirm he's involved. He went full revolutionary mode, talking about the democratic foundations of a new kind of political party taking shape. That's not the language of someone planning a general political discussion group. That's the language of someone who thinks the entire system needs burning down and rebuilding from scratch. And you know what? Looking at the current state of British politics, he might have a point. We've got a Labour government that's basically doing austerity with a red rosette. The Conservatives are still having their extended nervous breakdown, and the Liberal Democrats are, well, still the Liberal Democrats. It's like choosing between different flavors of disappointment. Sultana's original statement was absolutely scathing. She said Westminster is broken, but that the real crisis runs deeper than that. She's talking about a two-party system that offers nothing but managed decline and broken promises. That's not just criticism. That's a complete rejection of the entire British political establishment. She's essentially saying the whole thing is rotten to the core. Now, let's talk about what led to this moment, because it's absolutely wild. Sultana got suspended from Labour for voting to scrap the two-child benefit cap. Let me repeat that. She got punished by a Labour government for trying to lift children out of poverty. If that doesn't tell you everything you need to know about how far Labour has drifted from its roots, I don't know what will. She also voted against scrapping winter fuel payments for pensioners, which again seems like basic human decency rather than radical politics. But apparently, in Starmer's Labour, caring about vulnerable people is now considered extremist behavior. It's like living in some bizarre parallel universe where helping people is controversial. The timing of this announcement is absolutely perfect, and by perfect, I mean catastrophically embarrassing for Starmer. Just this week, his government suffered the biggest rebellion of his premiership so far, with 49 Labour MPs voting against his welfare reforms. 49. That's not a small group of troublemakers. That's nearly a quarter of his backbenchers telling him he's got it completely wrong. And what were these reforms? Well, the centerpiece was restricting eligibility for personal independence payments, which helps disabled people manage the extra costs of their disabilities. So essentially, the government wanted to make life harder for some of the most vulnerable people in society, and even their own MPs said absolutely not. The fact that Starmer had to abandon these plans in what can only be described as a humiliating climb down shows just how out of touch his government has become. This isn't just about policy disagreements anymore. This is about fundamental questions of what the Labour Party actually stands for. When John McDonnell, who served in Corbyn's shadow cabinet, says he's dreadfully sorry to lose Zarah from the Labour Party and asks why young, articulate, talented, extremely dedicated socialist feels she now has no home in the Labour Party, that's not just losing an MP. That's losing the soul of what Labour used to represent. The response from the government has been predictably defensive. Home Secretary Yvette Cooper basically shrugged and said Sultana has always taken a very different view, which is political speak for we're not bothered, while clearly being absolutely bothered. It's like when your ex says they're totally fine with you dating someone new while simultaneously checking your Instagram stories at 3 a.m. But here's what's really fascinating about this whole situation. Corbyn and Sultana aren't just creating another political party. They're potentially creating a home for all the Labour MPs who've been left politically homeless by Starmer's rightward march. There are clearly dozens of Labour MPs who are deeply uncomfortable with the direction their party is taking, and now they got somewhere to go. This could be the beginning of a massive realignment in British politics. We've seen it happen before with the SDP in the 1980s, though that was centrists breaking away from Labour, not the left. This time, it's the socialist wing of Labour saying enough is enough and potentially taking a chunk of Labour's traditional base with them. The establishment media is probably going to dismiss this as irrelevant, but that would be a massive mistake. Corbyn, for all his faults, still commands significant support among Labour's grassroots membership. Sultana represents a new generation of socialist politicians who aren't willing to compromise their principles for electoral convenience. Together, they could tap into the massive frustration among voters who feel completely abandoned by mainstream politics. And let's be honest, there's a huge appetite for genuine left-wing politics in this country. The problem has never been that people don't want radical change. It's that they've never been offered a credible alternative. The Greens are there, but they've always struggled to break through beyond environmental issues. A new party led by experienced politicians like Corbyn and dynamic figures like Sultana could change that completely. The question now is whether they can build something that goes beyond protest politics. It's one thing to criticize the establishment. It's another to build a movement capable of actually challenging it. But if anyone can do it, it's probably these two. Corbyn has decades of experience in building grassroots campaigns, and Sultana has shown she's willing to put her career on the line for her principles. What's really exciting is that this isn't just about Westminster politics. Sultana talked about working with independent MPs, campaigners, and activists across the country. That suggests they're thinking beyond just parliamentary politics and looking at building a genuine grassroots movement. That's exactly what British politics needs right now. Something that connects with people's everyday struggles rather than just offering different flavors of technocratic management. The timing couldn't be better either. We're barely a year into this Labour government, and already people are realizing they've been sold a pup. Starmer promised change and delivered more of the same. He promised to be different from the Tories, and then implemented policies that would make George Osborne blush. People are angry, and they have every right to be. So what happens next? Well, if I were Keir Starmer, I'd be seriously worried. This isn't just about losing one MP. This is about the possibility of a systematic challenge to Labour's monopoly on left-wing politics in Britain. If Corbyn and Sultana can build momentum, they could potentially split the progressive vote in a way that fundamentally reshapes British politics. But here's the thing, and this is crucial. They're not just trying to split the vote, they're trying to expand it. They're targeting all those people who've given up on politics entirely because they feel like nobody represents them. That's a massive constituency that's been ignored for decades. The establishment will try to dismiss them as irrelevant. But that's exactly what they said about Corbyn when he first ran for Labour leader. That's what they said about Brexit. That's what they said about Trump. The political establishment has a remarkable ability to completely miss massive shifts in public opinion until it's too late. This could be the beginning of something genuinely transformative in British politics. We might be witnessing the birth of a movement that could fundamentally challenge the cozy consensus that's dominated Westminster for decades. Or it might fizzle out like so many political movements before it. But either way, it's going to be absolutely fascinating to watch. The next few months are going to be crucial. Can they attract other MPs? Can they build a grassroots organization? Can they develop policies that go beyond just criticism of the status quo? These are the questions that will determine whether this is just another political sideshow or the beginning of a genuine alternative. One thing's for certain, though, British politics just got a whole lot more interesting. We've gone from the boring predictability of two-party politics to something that could genuinely shake up the entire system. And honestly, after years of political stagnation, that's exactly what we need. So there you have it. Folks, Jeremy Corbyn and Zarah Sultana are launching a new political party, and the political establishment is absolutely bricking it. Whether this becomes a genuine force for change or just another footnote in political history remains to be seen. But one thing's certain, they've just made politics a whole lot more exciting. What do you think? Are Corbyn and Sultana onto something, or is this just political fantasy? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to stay up to date with all the latest political chaos, make sure you're subscribed to UK Daily Coffee. We'll be following this story closely because something tells me this is just the beginning. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next in this political soap opera. Hit that notification bell, grab another coffee, and let's see how this whole thing plays out together.